Okay, so cells that in the bone are called osteoblasts. Okay, and they replace cartilage with spongy bone. Okay, but spongy bone, despite its name, it's very hard. It's not spongy and soft. Okay, it's irregular and pitted, so that's where it gets its name. Other osteoblasts will lay down as compact bone, and compact bone is very, very hard. It's organized into circular units called osteons, and inside the areas are called lamella, which are these hardened matrix, and bone-forming cells. Okay, so right here, this is a bone cell right here. Okay, so right here, and this guy is called an osteocyte. Okay, and these guys lie between the lamella. Okay, blood that has nourishment in it goes through the lamella. Okay, and it flows through the vessels in tiny passageways called Haversian canals. Okay, and that's at the very center of the ostia. A diagram of this is on page 418. Okay, in long bones, there are two parts to it. It's called the diaphysis and the epiphyses. Okay, so the diaphysis is the long part that you see. Okay, and if you look on page 14, it talks about that. So the long part is called the diaphysis, and the end that's round, that's called the epiphyses. Okay, the epiphyses is where you find growth plates. Okay, if you take forensics, then we actually talk about that in more detail, and you can use growth plates to help determine how old a person's remains are, so you can determine the age. So as the bone is getting longer, it also has to increase in diameter, because if it grows really long without growing thicker, it's going to break easily. Okay, and so cells called osteoclasts destroy inner spongy bone of the diaphysis, and then they form new compact bone around it. And so then it just gets bigger in diameter. And so that's how your bones get bigger and stronger. All right, so protection. Okay, big thing about the bones is that they offer protection. Okay, the brain and the spinal cord are protected by the skull and the vertebrae. Okay, excuse me, the heart and lungs are protected by the rib cage, and then the pelvic girdle provides a little bit of protection for your intestines and the reproductive organs. Not as much as the heart and lungs and the skull, or excuse me, the rib cage and the skull do for their organs, but there is some protection there still. Okay, bones are also storage site for minerals. Okay, calcium is especially important for the body. Okay, especially the muscular, the nervous, and the reproductive systems. Okay, phosphate gets released, and phosphate is important for ATP. The bone marrow also produces red blood cells. Let me see if I can do that. All right, so here we go. So this guy right here, okay, this is a red blood cell, and she, or in this case she, I'll explain more later, she is produced in red bone marrow, okay, and white blood cells, some white blood cells and platelets are also produced in red bone marrow. Yellow bone marrow makes some white blood cells as well, but it increases as you get older. Okay, yellow marrow has a higher fat content. So that's that. All right. So in addition to protection, again, the body needs support, and it performs different roles. Okay, that's why you can stand upright. That's why you can hold your shape, so you're not just like the blob running around, or oozing around. It's a framework for muscles to attach to, and that's where we get our movement from. So, all right, now muscles. All right. So a lot of different parts about muscles, okay? So muscles are used for movement, okay? They attach to the bones, and the place where the muscle attaches to the bone is called an origin, and that's for a stationary bone. If it's a movable bone, the attachment area is called an insertion, okay? Muscles are named for different functions, okay? And we're going to go over a few of them, okay? So my little guy right here, skeletal muscle, okay? I don't know if you guys can see this. This is a skeletal muscle, okay, or a muscle cell, but it is a skeletal muscle. This is one of 3 different types of muscles in the body. Thank you. All right. So as you can see, these little lines on here, these are striations, okay? So it is striated, so skeletal muscle is striated, okay? It is also voluntary. This is the stuff that you control the movements on. You make conscious thoughts to move it. So if I wanted to flex my fingers, I can control that. I can do that. So 3, 2, live long and prosper, okay? So basically what happens is that if I want to flex a muscle, so let's say I want to flex this right here, you can, I can, when I can make a thought and the brain sends a signal to the muscles to move it, okay? Yeah, all right. So smooth muscle, okay? I don't have one, but smooth muscle is not striated, okay? Again, it's smooth, so that it has no striations. It's also involuntary, okay? And this forms the wall of the internal organs and your blood vessels and your bladder. And you don't have to think about these muscles to move them and flex them to get them to work properly, okay? Yeah, you don't have to squeeze your say, oh, I want to squeeze my stomach muscles to digest my food. You don't have to do that. That's control in your brain, okay? Excuse me, okay? The 3rd type of muscle is called cardiac muscle, okay? It is striated, not as much as skeletal muscle, but it is striated, but it's involuntary, okay? And the only place that you can find cardiac muscle is in your heart, okay? You don't have to control the thought process. You don't have to control your thoughts in order to get your like, okay, my heart has to beat, my heart has to beat, my heart has to beat. You don't have to do that, because if we did that, I know I would forget and my heart would stop beating probably. So not a good thing, okay? So those are the 3 different types of muscles that you need to know.